Israel is located in the midst of a chaotic jungle of enemies and has for years fought to preserve its military's qualitative edge in an effort to deter anyone who seeks to attack the Jewish state. In today's program, we will look into Israel's defensive and offensive capabilities, as well as various dangers it faces and what it does to safeguard its security in the face of those challenges. With me in the studio to discuss these topics are Mr. Daniel Cohen, a research fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies. Welcome. Thanks. I'd like also to welcome our TV7 analyst, Mr. Amir Oren. And I'd like also to welcome Dr. Reuven Berko, a columnist at the Israel Hayom Daily, who is a reserve colonel at the police, who also advised the police and the IDF on the matters of the Arab minorities in Israel. Welcome. I'd like to start with you, Mr. Oren. Give us a little bit of an understanding where Israel is standing currently. There's been a lot of developments. Israel has been in an ongoing process of acquiring technology, weaponry, and so on in order to assure its qualitative edge. Where do we stand?
You mentioned a qualitative edge, but in various aspects, Israel also has quantitative edge. For instance, in fighter planes, or in air defense, which apparently no other nation has the quality of its own systems. Nevertheless, overall, Israel has an overwhelming military superiority vis-à-vis its enemies, and even any combination of enemies in conventional terms. Israel can forestall any existential threat to it, be it from Iran or from neighboring countries. It cannot, with the same success, take care of subnational threats, organizational or by individuals, and up to now it has failed to translate its military superiority to diplomatic security. This is a challenge for its political leadership rather than for the military.
Well, in order to try and narrow down the topic as much as possible, and of course we'll touch base on the various aspects of Israel's security, we'll start with a challenge that has recently been a big challenge for Israel, and that is the lone wolf attacks. I'll start with a question to you, Mr. Cohen. With regarding to the lone wolf attacks, the key challenge Israel was facing, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has reiterated this, as well as other people in the defense establishment of the State of Israel, is the incitement and the ongoing challenge in cyber and other platforms in order to deal with those specific attacks of one person who is more of a person working by himself with a knife or with something that he himself has acquired. How does Israel deal with this?
First of all, there is the legal side of it. Seen our new laws by the government regarding incitement online. The second will be cyber warfare. We see more use of mathematical algorithms for prediction, for example, for monitoring social media and try to identify keywords that can maybe be later on be used to carry out attacks. I'll give you one example. If someone tomorrow morning is influenced by social media, and tomorrow morning there is a chance that he will go out and stab someone on the street, there's a good chance that we will hear from him a farewell on Facebook to say farewell to his family before soccer. So this is one second side of it. The third side of it is counter-narrative, to create some kind of a counter-narrative campaigns that can make alternatives to these young people, because if you look on the common denominators of these people, most of them are young, single, majority of them are heavy consumers of social media. It's mostly influenced not by any terror organization that is behind it, even if there is an organization that is fueling the social media campaigns. No political agenda behind it. A lot of frustration, finding no alternatives, and we can create some kind of a counter-narrative that will show them that there is a different way, a different path, also by deterrence. It doesn't have to be positive. It can be also negative.
Which brings us to the next topic, the cooperation between the military and the police forces within Israel. Of course, there's been an active workforce, basically, in order to deal with the different challenges at hand. Mr. Cohen, how is this currently working out?
We see a much better cooperation between police and military and also the security agencies that are dealing with that. We see it for a while now, since Protective Edge mainly, where they started to work together in an organized way. For example, our army unit can monitor, again, I go back to social media as an example, to monitor where there is incitement and the police can arrest it. Now, if it's in the Palestinian territory, as Mr. Owen said, it's a different story. Then you need the military also to intervene and try to arrest people. Now, another key element here is there is like a vicious circle that starts with one, again, lone wolf for another definition for that, committing a terror attack. Then we see empowerment in the streets. As you said, it can be a demonstration or can be in the house where they're mourning on this person. And it can be also online in pages that are empowering this Shaheed. Afterwards, there will be copycats that will follow him. We need to cut the chain of supply in this case. So it can be only, in the end, eventually in a physical way. Go and arresting people before you know that they're going to do so.
Mr. Cohen, how do you see the connection between the operating arms of Israel's defense establishment to the more thinking minds of the intelligence and the other aspects of those organizations cooperating both domestically and on a regional spectrum?
10 years after the Second Lebanon War, one of the things that was maybe Vinograd, the committee, said afterwards, that the intelligence didn't reach the combat units. And in the end of the day, you need the intelligence to fight. Now, since then, there was a lesson learned. We see it much better now. The army became a digital army. The C4I Corps, for example, prepared for the combat units machines that can provide real-time intelligence, can also be used now in these waves of terror in the Palestinian territory, of course. But we see it on the borders of Israel, and we see it can help us later on, eventually if there will be another war in the north, for example. We see a much better army provided by intelligence to go on and commit its missions.
Indeed. Mr. Cohen, when it comes to the aspects of the ongoing campaign by the U.S.-led coalition against Islamic State, as well as Russian ongoing support of the Syrian president and his regime against also rebels as well as the Islamic State, Israel has been behind the scenes very active in the whole aspect of intelligence and helping out both sides in trying to battle those jihadist organizations with Israeli security interests in mind, as well as advancing in cooperation with both Egypt, as Mr. Owen has stated, and Jordan, also on the intelligence aspect. How is Israel continuing to assist all those parties and at the same time trying to stay out of the ongoing battle?
Very complex environment, very dynamic one, and it's changing every day. But from the Israeli perspective, first of all, you talked about the winter before, so I'll give you an example from a symbolic example from a famous TV series, The North Remembers. So it means that there is still deterrence against Hezbollah in the side of Lebanon, but still it means from the Israeli strategy to keep the balance between us to them. They won't get any deploys of strategic capabilities from Syria to Lebanon. We need also to put a close eye on what's going on with the Russians, cooperation with them, and we see a strengthening of the cooperation, diplomatic side and the security side between Israel and Russia. Another thing that we need to notice in Israel and to be prepared to, if the Islamic State is really losing the battle on ground in northern side of Syria and northern side of Iraq, that means, I'll give you another symbolic example, the Islamic State is a bit like water. You stop it in one side, you can fight it from another side. So you can see them being strengthened in Libya and maybe answer Bet el-Magdas in Sinai. And we can see them also going southern from northern Syria towards the border with Jordan. We saw indication to that in the explosive last week against Jordanian army. Jordan is now building a fence between Syria and Jordan. There is a refugee, I won't say crisis, but a lot of refugees are in Jordan now, and there is a potential that some of them are Salafiyah Jihadiyah, and Israel is prepared also to cooperate and assist Jordan if needed. But the main Israeli concern is the Ramat Golan border. Israel had military change on that border and strengthened it with the new brigades that are now guarding over there. And this is our main concern for now. We don't any ISIS presence on the northern border. Another thing that we are now, maybe we'll see a change after this agreement with Turkey, there is a cooperation between Hamas in Gaza and ISIS Sinai, Ansar Bet el-Magdas, by training, by supplying of weapons, and even medicine help. So this is a link that we need to break and to be aware of, because in the end of the day, it can turn against us.
Dr. Belko, 2 sentences on this topic.
Well, I would use something that I'll translate it from Hebrew. We call it testifying signs. You can judge a situation according to what your eyes see. And there's a big argument in Israel whether we are under existential threat or not. We could hear very, very important generals and leaders in Israel who argue about this. What would our eyes see that we have the F-35? We would not buy this unless we would be in an existential threat. We have to look not only for the immediate environment like Golan Heights and Hezbollah and others. We can see a new way in which Sunnah is arranging themselves in the same position against the real threat, which is Iran. You can see what's happening in Bahrain now. You can see what's happening in Israel. We prepare for the real threat, Iran.
Mr. Oren, in 1 sentence.
They used to say that democracy is the best form of government because democracies don't fight each other. But even in the non-democratic regimes, if you have veteran leaders like Nasrallah or Hania or the King of Jordan, they know better than to tangle with Israel.
This is all the time that we have today. Thank you so very much, Mr. Daniel Cohen, for coming here. Mr. Amir Oren, thank you so very much. Dr. Belko, it's been a pleasure. And I'd like to thank our viewers, and we will see you next time.